Within the first 5 minutes of meeting someone, a narcissist will already be running their playbook on you, testing your boundaries, reading your reactions, deciding whether you're useful to them. The problem? They're incredibly good at it. Charming, magnetic, attentive, everything you'd want in a new person in your life. That's exactly the trap. But here's what most people don't know. Narcissists leak signals in those first 5 minutes, tiny cracks in the mask. And once you know what to look for, you can see through the performance before it costs you months or years of your life. Today, we're breaking down the psychology of narcissism, the 7 red flags that appear in the first 5 minutes, and exactly what's happening in a narcissist's brain when they meet someone new. Welcome to the Psyche Vault. Before we get into the red flags, let's be precise about what we mean, because narcissism is one of the most misunderstood terms in psychology. Narcissism exists on a spectrum. A healthy level of self-confidence and self-interest is normal, even necessary. What we're talking about today is the darker end, narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD, and high narcissistic traits just below clinical diagnosis. At its core, pathological narcissism is characterized by 3 things: an inflated sense of self-importance, a deep lack of empathy for others, and an insatiable need for admiration and validation. But here's the twist that most people miss. Beneath that grandiose exterior is almost always a fragile, deeply insecure self-image. The arrogance is armor, and that armor is what makes them dangerous. Research suggests approximately 1 to 5% of the population meets the clinical criteria for NPD, but many more have significant narcissistic traits, which means statistically, you've already met one, possibly more. To understand why narcissists behave the way they do in those first 5 minutes, we need to understand what's actually happening neurologically. Brain imaging studies have found that people with narcissistic personality disorder show reduced gray matter volume in the anterior insula, the region responsible for empathy and emotional processing. In simple terms, their ability to genuinely feel what others feel is neurologically impaired. They can intellectually understand emotions, but they don't feel them the same way you do. At the same time, their brain's reward circuitry is hyperactive when it comes to status, admiration, and control. Meeting someone new isn't a social experience for a narcissist, it's a resource assessment. Within minutes, they're unconsciously calculating, what can this person give me? Attention, status, money, sex, emotional supply? This is why the red flags appear so early. They can't help it. The assessment process starts the moment they lay eyes on you.
Here are the 7 signals to watch for, most of which appear within the first 5 minutes of interaction. Red flag number 1, immediate intense flattery. They tell you within minutes that you're the most interesting person in the room, that they've never met anyone quite like you. It feels electric, because it's designed to. This is the opening move of love bombing, and it works because it triggers your brain's dopamine system. But genuine connection takes time. Anyone who makes you feel uniquely special within minutes of meeting you is performing, not connecting. Red flag number 2, conversation hijacking. Pay attention to who the conversation keeps returning to. With a narcissist, every topic, no matter how it starts, eventually circles back to them. Their achievements, their problems, their opinions. If you share something about yourself, they'll briefly acknowledge it before steering back. This isn't rudeness. It's an inability to genuinely sustain interest in anyone but themselves. Red flag number 3, name-dropping and status signaling. Within the first few minutes, they'll find ways to establish their status, dropping names of important people they know, mentioning their income, job title, car, or connections, often casually, as if it just came up. This is the narcissist establishing their value in the interaction. They need you to see them as high status before anything else.
Red flag number 4, subtle boundary testing. Early boundary violations. a touch that's slightly too familiar, a personal question that's slightly too intimate, a joke that edges toward inappropriate. They're watching your reaction. If you laugh it off or don't respond, they've learned something crucial. Your boundaries are negotiable. If you push back, they'll either immediately charm their way out of it or lose interest and move on.
Red flag number 5, devaluing others. Within the first conversation, they'll often casually mention how someone in their life is incompetent, ungrateful, or crazy. An ex, a colleague, a family member. They frame it sympathetically. They're the wronged party. But what they're actually revealing is their pattern. Everyone eventually becomes the villain in their story. One day, that will be you. Red flag number 6, mirroring. Narcissists are extraordinarily skilled at reflecting your own values, interests, and personality back at you. You love hiking? They love hiking. You value loyalty? Loyalty is everything to them. This mirroring creates rapid false intimacy, the feeling that you found your soulmate. But it's a technique, not a truth. Give it time, and the mirror cracks.
Red flag number 7. The intensity doesn't match the timeline. Perhaps the most important red flag of all, the emotional intensity of the interaction feels disproportionate to how long you've known them. You feel seen, understood, and deeply connected after one conversation. That feeling is real, but its source isn't. Healthy connection builds gradually. Anything that moves this fast is almost always manufactured.
Here's where it gets more complex and where most people get caught off guard. Not all narcissists are loud and arrogant. There are 2 main subtypes, and the second one is far harder to spot. Overt, grandiose narcissists. These are the ones most people picture. Loud, boastful, openly arrogant. They dominate conversations, demand attention, and make sure everyone knows how important they are. Easier to identify, but still incredibly manipulative. Covert narcissists. These are the dangerous ones most people miss. Quiet, self-deprecating on the surface, often playing the victim. They come across as sensitive and misunderstood. But underneath is the same core. Lack of empathy, hunger for admiration, and a belief that they are fundamentally special, just expressed through suffering rather than superiority. With covert narcissists, the red flags are subtler. A pervasive sense that they're never appreciated enough, passive-aggressive behavior when they don't get what they want, and a quiet but persistent belief that the world has wronged them. They don't brag about how great they are. They hint at how great they could be if only others recognized it. So you've spotted the signs. What now? Here are 4 principles to protect yourself. 1. Don't confront, observe. Confronting a narcissist early does nothing except put you on their radar as a threat. Instead, keep your observations to yourself. Watch the patterns quietly. Let them reveal themselves over time. 2. Keep your personal information close. Narcissists use what you share against you later. In early interactions, be friendly but guarded. Share surface level. Your wounds, fears, and insecurities are not safe with them. 3. Test with a small boundary. Say no to something minor. Decline a request. Gently push back on something they said. Watch how they respond. A healthy person accepts it gracefully. A narcissist will either sulk, push harder, or pivot to charm. The reaction tells you everything. 4. Trust the pattern, not the moments. Narcissists can be wonderful in isolated moments. That's what makes them so confusing. Don't evaluate them by their best moments. Evaluate them by the consistent pattern over time. Does the conversation always return to them? Do they remember what you told them? Do they show up for you when there's nothing in it for them? 5 minutes. That's all you need, if you know what to look for. The intense flattery,
the conversation that always circles back, the casual devaluing of others, the boundary tests, the mirroring, the emotional intensity that doesn't match the timeline. These aren't random quirks. They're a pattern, and patterns don't lie. This knowledge won't make you paranoid. It will make you precise. You'll stop confusing charm for character. You'll stop mistaking intensity for intimacy. And you'll protect your time, your energy, and your emotional health for the people who actually deserve it. If this video gave you clarity, share it with someone who needs it. And subscribe to the Psyche Vault. Every week we go deeper into the hidden mechanics of dark psychology and human manipulation.